Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're using hard data to completely dismantle that crushing fake rich illusion. You know, the one that constantly makes you feel financially behind? If you've ever felt like you're losing a game that everyone else seems to be winning with zero effort, well, this is absolutely going to change your entire perspective.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're scrolling through social media, seeing this endless stream of brand new cars, crazy kitchen renovations, and exotic vacations. And you genuinely wonder, how on earth are my peers pulling this off while I'm barely scraping by? Are you really the only person double-checking your bank account before buying groceries? Well, the answer to that is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about wealth.
It's this agonizing gap between a carefully curated external highlight reel and, frankly, your stressful internal reality. You're looking at a Miami rooftop bar and a shiny new Tesla on one side, and then eating leftover pasta and nervously checking your balances on the other. But here's the thing. The truth is, most of what you are seeing just isn't real, at least not in the way you think it is.
So to understand this whole facade, we really have to run the actual math. And let's start with the classic foundation of the American dream, a heavily financed standard home. Based on recent data, the median home price in the US is hovering right around $400,000. Now, most people don't just have 80 grand sitting around for a 20% down payment, so they're putting down maybe 3 to 5%. Factor in current interest rates, which are roughly 7%, plus taxes, plus insurance, and you're looking at a monthly payment that easily shoots past $3,000. This literally leaves average earners completely house poor.
Now, what's truly staggering about this is how a typical earner's housing and transportation costs almost entirely consume their gross pay. Take someone making a median full-time income of $60,000 a year. That's $5,000 gross per month. $3,000 of that goes straight to housing. That is 60% of their gross pay. That's double the recommended limit. Add in a car, and they are essentially living in a permanent financial emergency. Basically, every single dollar is spoken for before it even hits their checking account.
And then we add in the single biggest lie detector in personal finance, the average new car payment. A new car screams, "I've made it," right? But it's actually costing people over $730 a month. For SUVs, it's often well over $1,000. And the crazy part? People are locking themselves into 84 months of debt just to project success. That is 7 full years of payments on something that is actively losing value. Once you factor in insurance, gas, and maintenance, you're looking at $1,300 a month minimum.
So when you combine these factors, the bigger picture really starts to come into focus. If someone is spending $4,300 of their $5,000 gross income just on a house and a car, they aren't building wealth, period. As you look at these staggeringly low liquid asset numbers across different age groups, it all tracks. For Americans under 35, the median net worth is around $39,000. Even in those peak earning years of 45 to 54, it's under $250,000, and a massive chunk of that is just trapped in home equity. The influencer lifestyle you're constantly envying, statistically speaking, it's built on leverage, not real wealth.
But you know, the illusion actually starts building early. Take a look at this massive percentage of young adults who seem wealthy simply because they've entirely eliminated rent. A full 1/3, 33% of adults aged 18 to 34 are living with their parents. Think about it. If you're making $45,000 a year but have zero housing or grocery costs, yeah, you can absolutely afford that luxury car payment and those expensive weekend trips. Meanwhile, the person making $70,000 who actually pays their own rent, they have significantly less discretionary income.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that you are comparing your complete financial reality against an artificially inflated illusion. I like to call this the invisible income effect. You're measuring your internal experience, all the stress, the uncertainty, the tough trade-offs you have to make, against someone else's shiny external facade. And that facade is very often built on a foundation you simply can't see, like parental support, crippling debt, or undisclosed side hustles.
In fact, half of parents are quietly providing $1,500 a month in regular financial assistance to their adult children. $1,500! We aren't just talking about an occasional dinner out here. We're talking rent assistance, car payments, insurance, phone bills, meaning that shiny new BMW the 20-something downtown is driving is highly likely funded by a hidden Venmo transfer. Because let's be real, they're going to post the car on social media, not the parental subsidy.
Now, to understand why this illusion hurts us so deeply, we have to talk about social comparison theory. This is basically our hardwired biological drive to evaluate our own success by comparing ourselves to others. It isn't a character flaw, it's literally just biology. But the internet has absolutely exploded our natural comparison group into these impossible global proportions.
You're no longer just comparing yourself to the neighbor down the street. You're comparing yourself to the top fraction of a percent of wealthy outliers globally, and then wondering why you just can't keep up.
We also fall victim to these totally warped online timelines. I mean, think about your own feed for a second. Month 1, someone posts a new car. Month 3, an exotic beach vacation. Month 6, a massive home renovation. You see all of this condensed into your daily scroll and naturally assume they're paying for it all simultaneously. What you don't see is that years of slow saving, hoarded travel points, and massive credit card swipes are being compressed into this one continuous highlight reel of luxury.
The stark, statistical reality is that many of the people proudly broadcasting these lavish lives are actually barely keeping their heads above water. 38% of U.S. adults have zero stock market exposure, no retirement accounts, no index funds. 45% completely rely on side hustles that they rarely mention online. And the average American? They're carrying $6,000 in credit card debt. And thanks to the reference group effect, if you hang around people who are heavily utilizing 22% interest debt to lease luxury cars, well, your baseline gets totally skewed. You end up feeling broke even when you're objectively doing just fine.
The irony here is brutal, and we really need to pause on this truth for a second. If you're constantly stressed about money, but spending just to keep up appearances, you are actively choosing the stress. Every single dollar spent trying to look successful is a dollar literally stolen from actually becoming successful. The people who look the wealthiest are often running the absolute tightest margins, while the people quietly building real wealth, well, they often look completely average.
Redefining wealth really means realizing that true success doesn't actually get likes or comments. True financial security is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It just accumulates invisibly in the background. It isn't a massive house you can't afford to furnish, or a car that forces you to eat ramen 4 nights a week. It's the quiet, honestly boring relief of checking out at the grocery store without a hint of panic, or being able to quit a job you absolutely hate because you actually have options.
So, if you want to walk away from the illusion and say, build a $60,000 safety net over the next 5 years, here is the unapologetically unglamorous formula. Step 1, spend less than you earn. Step 2, invest the difference. Step 3, avoid debt. And step 4, repeat. By renting a modest place instead of stretching for a massive mortgage and maybe driving a paid-off 10-year-old car, you can free up over $1,000 a month. Invested over 5 years, that becomes actual, real freedom.
I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. Are you playing a game designed to make you lose? The very next time you see someone pulling up in a brand new truck or posting a selfie from a gorgeous beach, remember the numbers we looked at today. Remember that it's highly likely a facade built on debt, family money, or some massive trade-offs. Step out of the comparison trap, stop competing with a mirage, and start claiming your own quiet freedom. You aren't falling behind. You are just finally refusing to perform.